Hey guys, it's Pat with Off Pavement. Well, we're back from JP Dirt and Drive, we're back from Easter Jeep Safari, and we're back at it with big plans, little budget, Evil Willies. Let me just first say, give us a like and give us a subscribe. It's how we're going to grow the channel. The more viewers and subscribers we pick up, the better off we're going to do in the future. So I'd love to have you as part of the Off Pavement team. So if you'd do that for me, that would be awesome. I would be most grateful for that. Well, JP Dirt and Drive, this was our third year, and pretty excited to go and do this again for the third time. Pretty blessed to be able to get out there and get chosen again. This time we started in Farmington, New Mexico, and we actually left a day early. Typically Thursday is the day that everybody goes through tech and inspection and kind of gets all their paperwork put together. But given the miles we were traveling, we decided to go ahead and leave a day early. We met up with our friend Ray, Doc as he likes to be called. And we met him in Kingman, and we kind of carpooled together on our way out to Farmington, New Mexico. Interesting trip, man. I think it was probably 800 miles, and the cool thing was we had a tailwind almost the whole way there, so the XJ was getting some phenomenal gas mileage. But we did finally arrive in Farmington at about, I want to say 8:30 that night, Wednesday night. And got checked into the room and spoke to a couple of people there just as we were kind of meandering back and forth between the parking lot and our room, gathering all our stuff together. Excited because the next day, Thursday, was the day that we would go through, get all of our paperwork put together, go through tech and inspection, and then kind of a show and shine that they typically do on Thursdays after everybody's done. And then just get to walk around and look at the different vehicles and talk to everybody and see those that you may have been on the event with prior. I know for me it was extra special. A lot of guys that we kind of co-follow each other on Instagram were on that trip, and so it was a good time to meet those guys, say hello, and share stories about different builds and so on and so forth, and talk about what they'd been doing. Also got to spend a little time with Brad from Trail Recon. That was kind of cool. Brad, thanks for taking time to talk with us while out there on Dirt and Drive. Great trip. You know, Rick Payway and the guys over at JP Magazine, they do a fabulous job putting that all together. There's a lot of logistics involved in that, and I think they do a fabulous job putting it all together. And so my hat's off to Rick Payway and everybody that volunteers and works on that program to make it run as smooth as it does. I'm sure that Rick could probably tell you it doesn't run that smooth, but from the outside looking in, I would say that they do a pretty good job. Our first day was in Farmington, New Mexico, and Friday morning we made our way out of the parking lot at the hotel after it was all said and done, and started day one basically, and had a police escort out of the parking lot, and intersections blocked by the local police there, so my hat's off to the Farmington Police Department as well. Got us through town and out to the trailhead in one group, which I thought was pretty cool. I'm sure it probably surprised a lot of people that were commuting to work on Friday morning to see over 120 Jeeps headed through town undisturbed, but it was a pretty cool sight nonetheless. We got out there, we were in the Chokecherry Canyon area, and we were able to run with the Cliffhangers 4-Wheel Drive Club, and they sponsored us that day and had set up a number of trails for us to run at various levels, trail levels, and so based on your expertise and equipment, you were able to choose what trail you wanted to run based on those descriptions. We decided we'd start a little light out of the gate, and we ran a trail called Rainy Day, which was a phenomenal trail. It was probably maybe a 4, but we got to see some really great New Mexico scenery, pretty much riding along the top of a mesa pretty much most of the time and kind of skirting the edge all the way around. We were there for, I don't know, a good 4 hours, maybe 5 hours by the time all was said and done, and made our way to Four Corners. If you've never been there or have heard of Four Corners, it's actually a geographical, one of those two marker, where Utah, Colorado, New Mexico, and Arizona all meet kind of in the middle of those four little corners right there. And that's a cool little novelty kind of thing there. You get to go out there and kind of put your hands and feet in all four states at once, and that's pretty much the only place you'll be able to do that in the United States. So that was kind of neat to kind of go out there and hang out. That is part of, I believe, the Navajo Nation, and so they kind of control all that and kind of operate that out there. It's become quite a little tourist area out there. So that was a fun little side trip that we got to take, go out there and see Four Corners. We then made our way from there over to Cortez, Colorado, and Cortez was our first night stop. And after all of the dirt and road miles that we put in, I think we probably arrived in Cortez around 6 o'clock. Cortez was a night stay, and then we made our way out of there and headed to Montrose, Colorado. We had to be in Montrose around 11:30, 12 o'clock, as we were meeting up with the Western Slope four-wheelers, and they were going to take us out and show us their trails. And we ran the Dale Ray Trailhead system out there, and there were some great trails out there. We ran a trail called Tabwash, and that was probably a 4 or 5 maybe, but there was a couple of pretty good obstacles on that, and we had a really good time out there. So thank you to the Western Slope four-wheelers for hosting us out there. After running the trails, we made our way back to Montrose, and just in time for dinner, and that was provided by JKS, and they were celebrating a birthday as a company, and so they treated us all to dinner that night back at the fairgrounds. Again, JKS was a sponsor along with General Tire, Casey Highlights, and Rugged Radios. So thank you guys for taking the time and putting a sponsor on for that, and making all that happen for us. That night, Montrose, we stayed the night there in Montrose and then made our way out, or bright and early in the morning as usual, 6:30 drivers meeting on the road by 7. And we made our way through numerous back roads on our way to Moab, because that would have put us on a Sunday morning. And ultimately the goal was to get to Moab in time for the banquet, the closing ceremonies for JP Dirt and Drive. And we saw some great scenery along the way through there. We went through a town called Nucla, I believe. It was along the Dolores River. And we got to see the hanging flume. That it was a man-made wooden device that was used to bring water up out of the Dolores River up to the top of the mesa where they had found gold and other minerals, and they were basically hydraulic mining up there. So there's a good portion of that is actually still there. That hanging flume was actually constructed in the 1800s, so it's amazing that a lot of that is still there. We made our way to Moab and ultimately to Canyonlands by night for our banquet, catered dinner, and then a lot of door prizes and raffles going on, and then ultimately making our way on out of there. Again, all of those sponsors provided some great gifts as part of the raffle. I believe General Tire gave away 3 full sets of tires. Fortunately, we didn't get one. Man, I was kind of hoping. I'm due for tires. But that didn't happen, but that's okay. You know, there's a lot of people out there that did benefit from a lot of the gifts that the sponsors brought, and that's awesome. I think that's what keeps people coming back, and it's always great to win something cool like a set of tires or a set of radios or some suspension components, whatever it may be. Everybody put something up. So again, thanks to those sponsors, General Tire, Casey Highlights, JKS, and Rugged Radios. Well, that puts us in Moab, and of course that's the beginning of Easter Jeep Safari. So Easter Jeep Safari, this is, I believe, was the 53rd, I could be wrong, 50th something. This was actually our second year. The first year we didn't have an opportunity to stay. Second year we did stay, and we spent a couple of days there. This year we stayed for 3 full days, and we met up with a good friend of mine from the area here that we go wheeling with here locally, and a friend of mine from up north in Spokane, Washington, joined us as well. And of course, the cool thing about Moab is that you always pick up people along the way that eventually wind up becoming friends. And we picked up a couple of guys that from Texas, and spent basically 3 days with these guys, wheeling, having dinner, and just hanging out. It was a good time. You're helping people. We some of the guys in our group actually helped a guy replace a U-joint on a axle shaft, and so that's the kind of stuff that goes on, and that's what makes it so cool. We ran a couple of we ran behind the rocks. We ran a kind of an easy trail called Buttes and Towers, which was kind of a relaxing 4-hour trip. It was kind of fun. It's a good opportunity to just get out there and, you know, kind of flex and just kind of, you know, take it easy and enjoy the scenery. And I think that's the coolest thing about Moab, is to me, it's like sensory overload, seeing all the beauty there in Moab. We did run a couple of extra trails, and then on our last day there, before heading out and making our way back to Southern California, we ran a trail called the Gold Bar Rim Trail. And I am not a fan of heights, but I'll tell you, that's up there. That is up there. Right when you hit the trailhead and get up, start making that climb up the side of that mesa, that is, well, for me, anyhow, it's kind of sketchy for me. It kind of wigs me out a little bit. But the scenery and the views more than make up for the terror, as it were, that I experienced climbing up and then climbing down eventually. That was our trip. We wound up spending a little extra time. We went back into town, had lunch after that, and then ultimately started making our way home. Next year we're hoping to have the project that has been in this shop for a little while, that we have been working on and ultimately trying to get ready for ultimate adventure. And that is Big Plans, Little Budget, the Evil Willies. And as you know, we have been trying to get this built and put together for Ultimate Adventure 2019. Unfortunately, some personal commitments and timing with a lot of the trips that we've been taking, unfortunately, is not going to allow us to get this vehicle done in time for UA. And that's kind of a bummer, because I just saw that Kristen Hazel just posted something about a week ago stating that they're actually pushing back UA from the end of June, beginning of July to sometime in August, because of the special activities they're going to do, because apparently this is the 20th calendar year that they've done UA, and so they've got some special things lined up. So darn it. You know, it's I guess that's the way it goes, but you know, I would rather have a vehicle that's been finished and had the opportunity to shake it down, rather than take it out sort of unused, as it were, and fresh with no trail miles on it, and have something go wrong and wind up spending my time either fixing it or worrying about whether or not I'm going to have to fix it. But nevertheless, we are still pushing forward with Big Plans, Little Budget, and we are moving forward. We actually need to send out the front axle, the Dana 60. We have some trusses that need to be welded right to the third member, and that is something that is out of my wheelhouse, even though I can weld with the preheat and post cool down and using the right materials. That's not equipment or expertise that we have. So we're going to send that out to a local guy that knows exactly what he's doing, and that way we make sure we get it done right, because the last thing I want to do is break a third member on the trail. That wouldn't be cool. But nevertheless, we've gotten most of the steering in, the suspensions in. We picked up our steering box. We're mocking that up. It's going to mount a little bit differently than the stock TJ box did. So we're getting that finalized. That is almost done. Once that happens, we are just about ready to plug in the motor, trans, and transfer case. And once that's complete, my theory and thought is that we'll be moving faster than we have been during this whole project. Because at that point, we will have all of the major components of this project in place, and it's just a matter of finishing up the little loose ends. And I say that, if anybody's ever built a house or constructed something on a great scale, you'll know that basically the foundation tends to sort of come together pretty quickly, but then all the finish work seems to take forever and a day. I'm hoping that's not the case with this. I'm very optimistic that we're going to get it done, and then we're going to start moving and starting to bring a ton of content, as much as we can, as we go out and actually test this vehicle. And as you know, we're building this after Vern Simon's project, Wicked Willies, which was done in Four Wheeler Magazine. And I've actually had some conversations with Vern about it. He shared some do's and don'ts with me. And I'm most grateful for that because that kind of helps me out a little bit. We've built projects like this before in the past. We used to race off-road, and so we've had stadium trucks and desert trucks, and so I'm familiar with that. But it's always nice to get a little insight from somebody that's already done it, especially since we're basically copying it, because his article was, "We'll build this vehicle in a two-car garage." So we're going to do that, and that's what we're doing right now, is we're building it in a two-car garage. And basically the goal is to show you that you can actually do something of this magnitude in a two-car garage, and you don't necessarily need a big shop and a lot of big fancy professional tools. It helps, but you don't need it. You can get around it, you can do it, you can make it happen, and if you've got any kind of skill whatsoever, you can build yourself a pretty nice vehicle. That's what we're doing. We are moving along. Our goal is to also hopefully pick up some sponsors along the way, and by sponsors I mean product sponsors. We're not looking for money to put into the project. What we're looking for is we're looking for solid products that we know are going to work on this vehicle and are going to withstand the, I don't want to say the abuse, but the task at hand that we're about to put it through. And our goal is to do Ultimate Adventure. Our goal is to take it and run the Rubicon. Our goal is to take and run the Doozy Ursham. We want to do Isham Canyon. We want to try all of those places that we know are going to be challenging. We're going to take it out to Sand Hollow. We're going to take it out to Moab. We may even run it out to Colorado and back to New Mexico, and run with the Western Slope four-wheelers and with cliffhangers again. Because that's what we want to do. That's what we're building it for. Our XJ is kind of more of a trail rig, but we're building Big Plans, Little Budget, Evil Willies. We're building that to do some serious rock crawling, and that's what we plan to do with it. So I'd love it if you guys would subscribe to the channel, support us. That support helps us because that helps build our viewership. Ultimately, we want to make this channel as big as we can get it. I want to bring you the best content we can. We want to kind of be all things off-road. I want to show you how to build things. I want to show you trails that we're running. I want to show you certain techniques to help you get over certain obstacles. We want to bring you merchandise at some point in time, and that's really where we're at. We want to build this into a full-fledged channel and opportunity for you guys to experience what we do and hopefully glean some information from that. So do us a favor. Hit like, hit subscribe, leave us a comment. And if you have some suggestions, if you like something or don't like something, hey, that helps us, because if you don't like it, I don't want to keep doing it. So leave us those comments. Let us know what you think. I'm Pat with Off Pavement. We'll see you out on the trail.